Hey, welcome back to the Savvy Successful Mompreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Savannah, and today we're going to talk about something that not many people talk about openly when it comes to entrepreneurship, leadership, and building businesses as a mom. And that is the loneliness that can come with leadership. Now, I want to start by saying something important right away. Loneliness doesn't always mean you're physically alone. In fact, many leaders are surrounded by people all day long. Employees, customers, community members, family, and friends. You may have conversations all day long. You may have responsibilities that require constant interaction. But leadership can still feel isolating. Because when you're the one carrying the vision, when you're the one responsible for the decisions, when you're the one others look to for direction, you're often standing in a place that very few people fully understand. And if you're a mom on top of it, running businesses, managing a household, raising children, showing up for your family, the leadership weight can feel heavier sometimes. Today, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about why leadership can feel lonely, why this happens, especially to mompreneurs, how relationships shift when you grow, the emotional weight of being a decision maker, and how to navigate leadership loneliness without losing yourself. Because if you've ever felt this quiet sense of isolation while you're building something meaningful, you are not alone. And there's nothing wrong with you for feeling that way. It's actually something many leaders experience. They just don't always talk about it. One of the things that happens when someone begins building something bigger in their life is that their relationships start to change. And this can be confusing at first. You might notice conversations shifting. You might notice that your priorities start looking different from the people around you. Maybe you're thinking about long-term plans, investments, business ideas, marketing strategies, community opportunities. And the people around you, they're still focused on the same routines they've always had. And again, there's nothing wrong with either of those things. But the reality is, growth changes your perspective. And sometimes when your perspective changes, your relationships shift too. You may start realizing the conversations you once had don't quite fit the same way anymore. You may start realizing that people in your life don't fully understand the risk that you're taking, or the responsibilities you're carrying, or the pressure you're under. And that disconnect, it can feel lonely. Not because people don't care about you, but because they don't fully see the world the same way you do anymore. Entrepreneurship stretches your thinking. Leadership stretches your responsibility. And growth stretches your identity. And sometimes people around you, they're simply just not stretching in the same direction. Another reason leadership can feel lonely is because of something many people never talk about. We mentioned it in the last episode, but decision fatigue. When you're the leader, you're the one making the decisions all the time. Small decisions, medium decisions, big decisions, and those decisions affect real people. Employees, customers, your family, your finances, your future. When you're an employee somewhere, many of those decisions, they're made for you. But when you own the business, you are leading the organization. Your responsibility, it sits with you. And sometimes that weight, it's heavy. You may lie awake at night thinking about the decisions. You may replay conversations in your head. You may wonder if you made the right call. You may feel the pressure of knowing that other people depend on the choices you make. Leadership requires courage. But courage doesn't mean that decisions are always easy. Sometimes leadership looks like sitting quietly with a difficult choice and asking yourself, what's the right thing to do here? And even when you make the best decision, you can still carry the responsibility for the outcome. And that level of responsibility, it can feel isolating because very few people see that side of leadership. They see the results, but they don't always see the internal weight behind the decisions. Now, when you add motherhood to leadership, there's an entirely new level. Because mompreneurs are not just building businesses, they're also building families. They're managing schedules. You're nurturing your children. You're caring for your home. You are showing up emotionally for the people who depend on you the most. And often, those two worlds, they collide in the same day. You may be thinking about payroll while helping with homework. You may be responding to business messages while packing lunches. Maybe you're planning marketing strategies while folding laundry. Your brain is constantly shifting between two roles. In fact, arguably more than two roles. You're CEO, you're mom, you're leader, you're caregiver, you're the vision holder, problem solver. And while people around you might see pieces of that, very few people see the full picture. They might see the business, they might see the family, but they rarely see the mental balancing act happening behind the scenes. And that balancing act, it can feel isolating at times because it's a responsibility that only you fully carry. Another thing that contributes to leadership loneliness is something I've observed over and over again. When people see a woman who is capable, who is confident, who is handling a lot of responsibility, they often assume that woman doesn't need any support. They assume she has everything handled. They assume she's strong enough to manage it all. But strength does not remove the need for connection. Strong women still have moments where they feel tired. Strong women still have moments where they question themselves. Strong women still need encouragement and understanding. But sometimes strong leaders hesitate to show vulnerability because they feel like they need to remain strong for everyone else. And over time, that can create emotional distance. Because when you're the one people depend on, you may feel like there isn't always space to lean on others. One of the things that people often don't see about leadership is the quiet moments. The moments when you're reflecting, the moments when you're planning, the moments when you're worried about the future of everything you're building. The moments when you're trying to make sure you're doing right by the people who trust you. Leadership involves a lot of internal conversations, and those internal conversations can feel really lonely because they're happening inside your mind. You think about things that others around you may not even be aware of. Financial responsibilities, business growth, community expectations, future planning, team dynamics, long-term vision. And those thoughts can sometimes feel like they exist in a space that only you can occupy. But that space is also where leadership is forged. It's where vision is refined. It's where courage grows. The good news is this: leadership does not have to be completely lonely. One of the healthiest things leaders can do is intentionally build circles of support. People who understand the responsibility, people who understand growth, people who understand vision. This might be other entrepreneurs, other business owners, mentors, friends who are also building something meaningful. Because when you talk to someone who understands leadership, there's a different level of connection. You suddenly don't have to explain everything. They already understand the weight you're carrying. And those relationships, they can be incredibly grounding. Despite the moments of loneliness that leadership can bring, there is something incredibly meaningful about building something that matters. Leadership allows you to create opportunities, to serve your community, to provide for your family, to build something that reflects your values, to create impact that lasts way beyond you. And when your children watch you build something meaningful, they learn something powerful. They learn courage matters. They learn that vision matters. They learn that hard work, it can create opportunity. And they learn that leadership is about service, not status. And that lesson, is one of the most powerful things a parent can pass down. If you're listening to this today and you've been feeling the quiet loneliness that sometimes comes with leadership, I want you to hear this. You're not alone in that feeling. Many leaders experience it. Many entrepreneurs carry it quietly. Many moms walk this path. But the work you're doing matters. The impact you're creating matters. And the courage it takes to lead, even when it's difficult, still matters. Thank you for spending part of your day with me on here on the Savvy Successful Mompreneur Podcast. If this episode resonated with you, share it with another mom who's building something meaningful in her life and her community. And until next time, keep building, keep leading, and keep believing in the vision that you're creating. You got this.